Hey there, I'm Jason Fried, and I want to share with you some design decisions. This time, I'm going to talk about a specific screen in Basecamp 3. We're about to ship a new version of it in the next day or so, and I want to show you the before and after, kind of what we've done, why we've done what we've done, what we thought about as we were doing it, how we've changed some copy, how we've changed some design, that sort of thing. Um, this is not a big redesign. It's not a huge deal. It's actually a pretty subtle thing. And sometimes that's fine, of course. Not everything has to be a big deal. You shouldn't be working on big deals all the time. Sometimes you work on big stuff, sometimes you work on small stuff. This is something we decided to do because we weren't really feeling great about how it looked and how it felt. So we decided to spend a week or so on a particular screen, tighten it up, clean it up a bit, make it feel a little bit more like it fits within the app, and ship it. So let me show you the difference here. What I'm going to show you is before, and by the way, before means what's currently on production, although by the time you see this video, the after might be what's live. But currently today, what we have is the version that is running here in Safari. You'll know it's Safari because there's a URL bar at the top. And the new version, which is running on a beta server internally, is going to be in the desktop app. In the native Basecamp 3 desktop app, there's no URL bar at the top. So when I switch between these two, you'll see the difference. Safari, current version, desktop app, brand new version. All right, so what are we talking about? Well, first of all, we're looking at the Rework Podcast project in Basecamp 3. Little bit of background here. This is actually the project we use to run our podcast at rework.fm. It's where we keep all the to-do lists for upcoming episodes, things we need to do, docs and files, message board for announcements, the schedule, upcoming interviews, when new episodes are going to launch, that sort of thing, campfire for quick chatter and whatnot. And then we also have a feature in Basecamp 3 where you can forward emails in. And in this case, we're actually forwarding in voicemails that are coming in through Google Voice as email attachments, sending them right into Basecamp. So we have a collection of those voicemails right here inside this project as well. The thing I want to focus on, though, is not any of these particular features, but it's actually the feature you see when you click this button here, Add or Remove People. So at the top of a project, you have a strip of people, strip of avatars, I should say, and this is everybody who has access to the particular project. And if you click this button, what you'll see is a screen where you can decide who you want to add and who's currently on. This is, again, the current version. Now, same thing is true in the new version. I'm not going to click this yet, but you get to it the same way, same strip of people, same tools. All we're really tweaking here is this particular screen, and I'll show you the new version in just a second. But what would help here is a little bit of background. So if you look at this screen and you look at how it's designed, we basically have a centered headline at the top. We have some descriptive text below that. And then we have a centered green button to add more people. And then below that, we have a list of people who are already on the project. And there's actually quite a few people because everybody in the company actually has access to this particular project. But you only see 8 at a time, and it's fine. Usually it's more than adequate, but you only see some at a time, and then you have this sort of big block at the top explaining where you are and how you can add more people. And one thing I would point out immediately is that, like, first of all, we're saying the project name here. It's also right here. It's universally right here. Whenever you're in a project, there's a sheet in the back, which is sort of the home page of the project, and the project name is always listed at the top. So it's kind of redundant that we have this here. We really don't need this here. This actually came along with a previous design that we had prior to us adding this navigation bar at the top. So at one point, this sort of was helpful, but now it's not so helpful. So this is something we're gonna remove, which I'll show you in a minute. Also don't necessarily think that this description needs to be here all the time. This is one of those things where it's nice the first or second or maybe third time, but then after that, you just kind of pass right over it and it takes up some space in the screen and it adds more words to the screen. It's sort of unnecessary at a certain point. Anyway, but we have it here and then we have this button. But before I go into this, let me show you what the rest of the product looks like so you can see where there's some inconsistencies. So first, let me point out the consistencies. Whenever you go into any tool in Basecamp 3, there's a green button in the top left corner which lets you create a new thing. So in this case, we're on to-do list, so you can create a new list, okay? If you switch over to the message board, you have a button for new message. If you switch over to the schedule, you have a button for new event, right? If you switch over to docs and files, you have a button for new, and if you click this, you get some additional options. So it's pretty clear that the new thing you're going to do on any particular screen is in the top left corner, green button, and it's either going to take you right into the new thing or give you some quick options. Now, you'll see though, if you click add, remove people, we have this design, which does not respect the design of the other pages. And it's not like it has to, it's not the end of the world if it doesn't, but might as well make it consistent while we're at it. So let's say though that you want to add new people. You click this button and then you get this very big block that would appear. It pushes all the people down off the screen. Now I should say I'm on a 12-inch MacBook. It wouldn't push the people down off the screen if you're on a huge iMac or whatever. But if you're on a laptop, like all the people are now pushed down, which is not that handy if you're trying to refer to people. For example, if I want to invite somebody, I want to type their name here. It's nice to be able to look down and see if they're already on the project. Now I kind of have to do that. When I do that, I lose this. When I'm looking at this, I lose this. So I feel like there's some room to improve here, which we've done in the new design, which I'll show you. But the bigger problem here, I think, is that this is kind of a mess. Basically, there's two ways to invite people to a Basecamp project. You can just give them a link and they can join themselves, or you can invite them via email. So that's straightforward enough, but the way we present this is not particularly, let's just say it's not ideal. First of all, let me talk stylistically what I think is wrong with this. So first of all, we have two options. We have basically this option here, right? And then this option down here. The only way you know that there's two options here is that there's an or. Or is the only thing that suggests options. And, fine, but there should be more cues probably, or more clues that that's the case, that this isn't just kind of one big form that you grab this and then you do something down here, but really these are two different things. We're presenting them together though, which is what makes it kind of bulky. Second, like we have a headline here, headline style here, which is left justified. We have a headline style here, which is centered. If you look at the size of the type, it's smaller here, it's larger here. And this particular one has a line through it, and this one does not. So they're both equal options, but stylistically, they don't seem to rhyme. It's like, why is this left justified? Why is this centered? Why isn't this all left justified? Or why isn't it all centered? It's just this is the kind of stuff that contributes to making something a bit clunky. And clunky is sort of a hard thing to define, but when you see it, you feel it, and you kind of know it. Anyway, I also want to talk about language, which I'll get to when I compare the two designs. But this is what we were working with, and we said we can do better than this. So first, let me go back to Nevermind and go back to the sort of empty state here, where we have people and the button. So the new design, get there the same way. Click Add, Remove People. This design, however, begins to feel like the rest of the app. Again, if you go to any other section in the app, like message board, for example, new message top left, you go to to-dos, new list top left, and now you go to add, remove people, add people top left. Headers treated the same way, buttons in the right place. This feels like it belongs now, okay, compared to that, which feels like it's sort of a foreign design within an overall scheme that does work together. The other thing we've done here is, as I've shown you, when you click this button, we're showing you one big block with two options. It's not necessarily clear they're options. And even if it is clear, it's not that aesthetically pleasing the way it's laid out. The new design, what we do is we follow along. So we've already established a pattern. Again, let me remind you, if you go to Docs and Files, you click New, there's some options here. You can start a new doc, make a new folder, link to a Google Doc, or upload files directly. So we kind of have this pattern of being able to click on a green button and then get more options. So here, we follow the same pattern here. We say add people. And by the way, there should probably be an ellipses after this. There isn't. We'll make that tweak probably. You click this and now you're given two options. So you can invite people by email or invite people with a link. So we're still presenting two options, but we're not showing them at the same time. I should say we're showing the options, but we're not revealing the interface to do both at the same time compared to here where we show them both at the same time. So if you want to add people or invite people with a link, you click this, and we just pop in this really tight block that stands on its own right above the people. Now, I can still see 8 or maybe 10 people here, even though this is showing, compared to here. If I want to get a link, I can't see anybody. Does it matter? I don't know, but it's just something to consider. This is kind of nice. Also, I want to show you the language difference here. So it says share this link so people can add themselves. People typically, the word add is sort of what I'm going to count out or point out here, because if you look here, it says share this link so people can join the team themselves. Subtle difference, add themselves versus join the team themselves. To me, join the team themselves is clearer and more common. It's kind of odd to add yourself to a team. It's more common to join a team. So we switch that language up a little bit. We also give you some suggestions as to why you might want to use a link. So here, we don't tell you why you might want to use a link. It just says share this link so people can add themselves. And I guess there's reason there so they can do it themselves. Here, we're kind of giving you some suggestions as to how you might want to use it. So pop this link or pop that link. We might want to change this to this, by the way. Pop this link into an email, chat, or text message. Anyone who clicks it will be able to access this team, post messages, comment on things, etc. And then disable this link, which turns this feature off. A lot of our customers come to us after having tried to use something else. And a lot of what they try to use is email, chat services, chat tools, texting, and they're looking to graduate to something that's more structured, something that's a single tool, not, they don't have to use 5 or 6 separate products to do something to work together. It's weird to say let's work together across 5 separate things. That just doesn't really compute if you think about it. So Basecamp is everything in one place. So oftentimes people are in some other chat tool and they're like, this isn't working. Let's do something else. Let's switch to Basecamp. So what's nice is that we can just give somebody a link which they can pop into WhatsApp, iMessage, Slack, whatever else they use, and just kind of graduate them right into Basecamp. So you don't have to enter people's email addresses and sign them up manually. You can just say, hey, let's go use this instead. Link, boom, people sign up themselves, they're ready to go. So if that's what you want to do, you can just grab a link, again, add people, invite people with a link. We're just showing one thing at a time, compared to here, we're showing 2 things at a time. And if you want to invite people via email, we just select that, and you basically get relatively the same form. It's a little narrower. We also made some other subtle tweaks here and there. But now you just see this email form, and you can fill it in. But also you'll notice that you can see some of the people on the project. And that's just kind of nice. Even if you scroll up a bit to here, now you can see 12 people. So when you're adding people, you can ask yourself, have I already added them? Yes or no? Yeah, without really losing the form. Compared to here, first of all, I don't see anybody. I have to scroll down to do that. When I do that, I see about 8 people. But at the beginning of the process, I don't see anybody. So we think this is a really nice improvement. We also made some other tweaks. Include a personal note before sending the invitation. Now it just says include a personal note. Personally, I kind of happen to like the more verbose version. It doesn't really matter, but it's just one of those things that I think, why not just add a few extra words if you can in this case, just to kind of remind people that you're doing something before something else. But inconsequential, probably doesn't matter so much. We'll see if we make that tweak or not. But overall, the main change here, of course, is that the design of this screen fits in with the other screens better. We're following a pattern that we already have, that we've already established elsewhere, and we're letting you do one thing at a time so you can focus in on the one thing at a time that you want to do versus hitting you with 2 things at a time no matter what. So that's the main change here, and we feel like it's a nice improvement. Again, this is not something that customers were asking for. This is not one of those things that comes up during the daily course of fielding feedback. But this is just something we weren't really that happy with, something we thought we could improve, something that we didn't get to the last time we made some other changes. So it's going to feel good to get this out there. Hopefully that'll be tomorrow, although by the time you see this, it'll probably be out there. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this little breakdown. It wasn't a big, huge redesign, but hopefully it took you through some of the thought process that we have here. If you have any questions about it, post some comments down below. If there's anything you want me to talk about, other designs, other screens, break something else down, leave a comment and I'll make a list for future episodes. Thanks again for watching Design Decisions.